Hello, everyone, and welcome to Satsang on this beautiful, for me, Sunday morning, sunny here in Seattle. Let me turn all the sound off here so nothing disturbs us. And I'm actually doing an event I decided to do on this coming Saturday that is called Praying for the World, and it's open to everybody. I'm asking for donations, but I don't want anybody excluded, so I'm not treating this like a course the way I normally do workshops and that sort of thing. But I am asking for donations. I'm not asking anybody to register. I'm just putting it out there. I'm going to show up right here on the YouTube channel and talk about how we can, as a community, come to that sense of inner power that is symbolized really by that word prayer, which is the most common of all spiritual practices. And it actually has various kinds of phases to it. I remember when I'd first had my spiritual experience and I was pursuing spiritual knowledge, the first thing I encountered was the metaphysical approach. Christianity, traditional literal Christianity with the mean God that had, that required a blood sacrifice in order to have his lust sated. It obviously wasn't the case. There was, because I had just experienced such an incredible benevolence and love that it couldn't be that. But what was it, in fact? And I remember I would pray metaphysically, affirmative prayer, and the prayer of the recognition of the allness and the oneness of God. But there was still quite a separation there. But nonetheless, I remember one day I was praying very diligently, watching, just watching my thoughts, negating the thoughts that were obviously not true, and affirming the ones that were. And this thought occurred to me that says, well, if this is this infinite intelligence, this omniscience, this all-knowing God, being, whatever it was, then it already knew what I was going to say before I said it. So all language became superfluous. So I figured what I should do instead was just shut up and listen. And so I did. I just shut up and found it was very difficult to get the mind quiet. But after a while, realizing that I just kept pulling myself back to this place where I was simply listening. And if there is an ear, there must be a voice somewhere. And it was years later, because I grew up in the Midwest. I'd never heard of things like, Enlightenment or Vedanta. I'd never even heard of yoga, right? I mean, this is the 60s and 70s, right? And many years later, I realized that what I had inadvertently done is I had started to meditate. I was not engaged in attaining a particular goal as I had been prior to that. I was dropping all the goals and just listening. And one could say, to whom are you listening to? I kind of call that the high end of metaphysical prayer, because the next step, of course, was my introduction to non-duality, which kind of put all the pieces together. But that doesn't mean that the act of prayer is illegitimate. And we can't discard it, because literally billions of people do it from all forms of religion. I mean, there's Buddhist prayers, even though in Buddhism there's no God and there's no self. There's nobody to pray to, right? It is though any time there is a heartfelt supplication, a deep desire that is owned. Every desire is a prayer. Every desire is a request to the universe, to God, to whatever, for something. It can be very mundane, right? Like I want a car, or a boyfriend or girlfriend, or I want a new house, or I want a better pair of shoes. It can be totally mundane and materialistic. And it go all the way up to the desire for enlightenment. if you look at what's common amongst all of those, it's that desire. Now, obviously, our desires can be purified. And if we see prayer as a means by which we surrender desire, we acknowledge it. We're not trying to push it away, not trying to not have desire, which is impossible, by the way, but instead are using it as an opportunity to let go of it. Not my will, but thine be done. I don't really know what's best in this moment. And in fact, my desires may require a bit of purification before the fulfillment of them can actually occur, so that it doesn't cause me more damage than it did before. It's okay. My granddaughter needs her shoes. Um, and it can. Right? Everybody knows that the experience of when getting some kind of blessing prematurely and you use it. I mean, the perfect case is people who win the lottery, and on average, 95% of them have lost it all within 2 years, because they simply aren't. They're simply not prepared to take on that kind of energy, and so it can be. It can be the expression of haughtiness and a sense of arrogance and superiority, as you see in all the TV preachers, which aren't sincere anyway. They're all con men and women. But in a really humble heart that is seeking a genuine communion with oneness, God, however that might be envisioned for them, you can tell that the state of the heart is what matters. Now, also, the less selfish that prayer is, the more it's not about something for me, but something for others, the more powerful it becomes. And if you're talking about praying for the world, and currently the world needs that kind of desire for something beyond, to have that kind of love aimed at it, that simply wants the world to be healed. But part of that process is letting go of our opinions as to the way it should be. This is the way the world is supposed to work. Dividing it into the bad guys and the good guys, right? The Republicans and the Democrats and the Tories and the Labor Party, or whatever it is, the right and the left, Putin or Biden. To take sides like that is when people, pray, God, destroy my enemies, right? Because they're crazy and you've given me the promised land, et cetera, et cetera. But the one that is so humble, it doesn't really realize, doesn't own a position, doesn't say, this is the way it should be. God, you should make it that way. What's the matter with you? Why isn't it this way? Must be a bunch of bad people. You can see that, just that sense that, I don't really know what is the right way. I don't know what's going to come of this. I don't know what evil or mistake is going to be exposed. I don't know what goodness is going to become enhanced and empowered. I don't know. All I know is I want to participate in that. And it's powerful enough when one person does it. But if you get a group of people doing it that are of one mind, of course, it's amplified exponentially. It isn't just, the prayer times the number of people there. It's the prayer times the number of people there squared, because it feeds on itself. It's this beautiful perpetual motion feedback machine that feeds on itself. But you can tell the emphasis I keep putting on it is the state of the heart. It is the deep desire of the heart. And it's no accident that Ramana Maharshi would refer to the highest self, or what some would call God, as the heart, and that the pinnacle of Buddhist teaching is the Heart Sutra, the heart of the matter, the essence of it. And so it's in that spirit that I'm going to do this event about prayer. I've said it before, because when I came in touch with meditators and meditating as a practice later on, because I had come from a tradition, it was really more devotional around prayer and the like, I actually found it a bit cold, a bit indifferent. That idea that there's no self, it's impersonal, there's not a God we're praying to, it's the absolute state of being. There was a distance there that didn't feel right to me, and I referred to many years, I haven't used that term in a long time, the term religious sentiment, kind of bringing to meditation that kind of the heart of a saint that characterized Christian mystics, rather than just kind of the coldness. And if there's one thing non-duality is accused of more than anything else, it's just being cold, clinical, right? When we talk about pure consciousness, it can sound kind of clinical, right? Impersonal being, right? It sounds like, ugh. Where's the juice? Where's the life? Where's the contact? Where's the intimacy? And of course, all of that's included. The only difference between just the regular celebration and joy and intimacy and love and touch of life is that the impersonal means it is not owned and operated by the ego. That the impersonal simply recognizes that I didn't create this. I didn't create my desires. And as such, they're not just my desires, they're the desires of the entire universe. What I feel is my own personal connection, or my personal love, or my personal interests, right? My personal ambitions. If you take a step back, you realize they're not personal at all. You didn't create them. They're impersonal. They're inherent in being itself. And so every desire you have, however small, is the desire of the universe. Even if it's, I want to get a cappuccino, sit down in a coffee shop and read and have a cappuccino. That is the desire of the universe, to have a cappuccino sitting in a coffee shop reading something. That's the real meaning behind that sense, impersonal. And when Buddha referred to there's no self, it wasn't this nihilistic emptiness that the body dies and you're gone. It was that no object has inherent self, and that's easy to see. Every object is a combination of other objects, right? And none of the, this microphone that I'm talking into here now is not made up of a bunch of little microphones. As a matter of fact, everything it's made up of is not a microphone. So where did this microphone emerge from? It is such a beautiful and mystical thing to ponder. And the same is true of you. There's not a bunch of little yous that are put together to make this you. There's just literally trillions upon trillions of little beings that are just kind of dancing in lockstep to create this vehicle that we have such a good time with, and that create such a rich experience. To me, the true prayer is the recognition of this miracle, this mystery of life, and the resulting sense of gratitude and awe and wonder at it. That's the spirit of it. And it's that spirit that I want to, next Saturday, get together with a bunch of you and just kind of focus that attention on bringing a healing touch to the world, a non-critical, non-judgmental, non-preferential healing touch to the world, just for a couple hours, laying aside all of our ideas, all of our preferences, all of our prejudices, all of the bad guys and the good guys, to just be this pure, open, infinite sky that lets the pure light come through. So hopefully you'll join me. Like I said, there's no cost. I am asking for donations because I'm putting a lot of work into making it. So if you can, wonderful. Just go to my site, gpwalsh.com/donate. There's a little button up on the top too. If you just go to gpwalsh.com, you can do it now, during, after. It doesn't matter. I'm not taking tickets at the door. So that means if you can give a buck, you can give a buck. If you can't give anything, don't give anything. And just come. Just bring your heart and your spirit. So on that note, I'm going to now open it up for the questions. And I already have one that was emailed to me. I didn't forget, Bob. And example, when I see somebody in, you please speak about the source of joy and happiness? For example, when I see somebody, I feel joy. The joy comes from me, not from the person, right? How do we get more of that? Let me check your email here really quick. You said you were looking forward to visiting and seeing your daughter. I was all bubbly and happy, as I haven't been so joyful recently. Of course, I liked the feeling and tuned into it, and then I realized, as much as I love my daughter, she is not the source of that happiness that I felt. The source is in me. I kind of knew that already, but yet it was a shocking discovery, and I want more of that. Amen. Amen to that. This is a big misunderstanding. It can cause a lot of confusion, so I'm try to be very precise and meticulous when I speak of this. When I say that happiness is within you. Because then people get the idea, well, then I don't need anybody. I shouldn't have relationships. And a lot of people don't. They'd say, okay, I'm not going to do anything. They become very austere. I hate to confess it, but I did that, right? I just put aside all of that because it was all just internal and all of this was an illusion, right? God, some of the things they did. But the fact of the matter is that it isn't a cutting off of the people that on the surface appear to be giving you happiness. Right? They're simply a catalyst by which you feel it. Where's the happiness felt? You don't feel it out there. You don't even feel it in the other person. You don't feel it in the, some great thing you bought that you've always wanted. You feel it in here. Does any feeling actually originate outside? So all happiness and all misery comes from us. It can be stimulated by the external environment. But the more you realize that the environment is only triggering it, it isn't the source of it, the more access you have to it without the external trigger. Now, that doesn't belittle an experience of seeing somebody you love or having a great experience. It's like an amplification of it, right? It's a special time of it. Like, there's times that they're just ecstatic, right? But the ecstasy isn't coming from the thing. It's coming from you. It's inherent in you. The mistake we make is when we project the happiness out there onto an object, we have a sense of not having it. We tend to stay in a state of suffering for periods of time unless that thing that stimulates happiness is there. And then we end up a slave to that thing, constantly chasing it. And people do that all the time. They do it with relationships. They do it with, altered states of mind. They do it with possessions. They do it with achievements. They do it with attachments. Obviously, they do it with, substances and the like. All projecting onto some external object or person or state what in fact is always coming from here. We never feel anything out there. It's always in here. But our state of mind, the way we have been educated, is that it is all that what we feel here is always a reaction to what's going on out there. The materialistic model completely denies the intrinsic nature of happiness and internal experience. But it's easy to show. I mean, think of somebody you like and you'll feel it. Think of somebody you love and you'll feel it, right? Think of something that's fun to do. You'll feel it. Now, where's that coming from? The thing's not here. It's all coming from you. But in certain circumstances, we give ourselves permission to feel what in fact is always there. Now, I do want to make a distinction between are the common usage of the word happiness that is normally used, and the word bliss, and the ananda bliss, Satchit Ananda. And I now pronounce it correctly, thanks to an Indian friend of mine who pointed out the right way to pronounce it. Um, and I kind of use the term happiness. I use it in the spiritual sense often, that it's all about happiness. But if you really want to get distinct about it, you could say that happiness could refer to the emotional experiences that we have when we interact with things that we love and that are pleasant. And you could use the word contentment as more of the spiritual baseline, because contentment has got a stillness about it, a quiet, a solitude. It's peaceful. There's no noise there, right? It's unmoving. It's just solid, and it's just that sense of presence. So the ultimate bliss of Ananda, the bliss of spiritual awakening, is not this ecstatic, crazy sense, because any emotional experience, however high, is temporary. It's going to come and go. It has to, because you can't have an experience of one thing unless it's juxtaposed the experience of its opposite. This is the way duality works. This is the way experience works. And I'm not talking about duality as a bad thing. I'm talking without it, there's no experience whatsoever. So it's always a juxtaposition. But with spiritual realization, the juxtaposition of that feeling, that contrast to that feeling of bliss, is not against utter sorrow or suffering. It's against the baseline of stillness. Against that baseline of stillness, everything shows up, doesn't it? Because it itself has no attributes. Everything that shows up on it, the attributes are fully seen. There's no noise. It's like, you walk through a mall and you can hear that there's like a song playing somewhere. You can but you have no idea what it is. You can't hear it. You can't make it out. You may not even be able to make out what song it is. Right? Why? Because there's all this noise behind it. Right? And so with all this noise behind it, it just gets drowned out in the cacophony. Right? Now, compare that to if you took a diamond and you threw it in a pile of rocks, nobody would see the diamond, right? People might walk right by it and not even notice. But if you take that same diamond, clean it all off, and you set it on one of those black velvet things that they have in jewelry stores, you see every aspect of it. So this is what the genuine happiness or contentment is. It is this absolutely empty background against which even the subtlest of attributes just shows up and is magnified, and you see everything as it is. The entire range of human experience, and that includes ecstasy and grief. But from here, grief doesn't become suffering because there's no resistance to it. It is simply the inevitable contrast that makes bliss possible. And of course, grief is simply the loss of something valuable. Right? If it had no value, there wasn't any great joy and love in it, well, then the grief wouldn't have any meaning. So grief is part of happiness. You can't have one without the other. It's two sides of the same stick. You can't have ecstasy without grief. You can't have deep love without the grief that goes with the ebb and flow of that love. So the spiritual journey is to move out of the ups and downs of the contrast, of which happiness is a beautiful part, and into that place that is so quiet and still that even the tiniest sound is heard and appreciated. And that's the place of true joy. You can call it contentment. You can call it, that's true bliss, right? Where the true wonder and magic and miracle and mystery of life is evident in every single detail. So does that help, Bob? Such a beautiful It's such a beautiful question, because happiness is what it's about. Everything we do in life is to achieve happiness. And of course, that's everything we do for ourselves is really to be happy, even the things that are the stupidest. I mean, we're doing it because we're hoping that it's going to deliver happiness on the end. It's the mistake we've made is just that we have invested the experience and people and places and things with the happiness that they don't actually possess. They can only reflect. Your happiness can be reflected back to you in circumstances like a mirror, but the mirror doesn't own any of those qualities. It's simply reflecting you back to you. and 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 nothing more. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully it's not too noisy. The grandmother of my son, who I can't talk to, they're gone. She's here, is doing laundry, and she only speaks Cantonese, so I can't tell her to not run the washing machine. So hopefully it isn't picking up too much of the noise for you. Very funny. Anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks, Bob. Go through here. Hello to everyone. Yeah, the devil's time zone. So you like that? Hi, Ava and Crispin. Oh, they canceled your Vipassana because of one of the teachers had corona. Well, that was a responsible thing to do. That was a responsible thing for them to do. So everything happens for a reason, the way it's supposed to. So, Rosario, hello from Madrid. Milo, well, this goes right with the happiness one I was talking about, Bob. IGP and everyone, could you please explain the phrase, the beauty you see is a reflection of you? And it's the same kind of thing, just substitute beauty for happiness. I mean, some people can walk by something just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and not see it. Someone can look at a forest and be just have your breath taken away and just stand in utter awe. Somebody else will look at it and go, my God, this would make a great golf course. Got to get rid of all these ugly trees. So where's the beauty? If the beauty is in the thing, everybody would see the same thing, wouldn't they? But they don't. Some people will listen to, some pop star and think, oh, this is great art. I listen to it and go, my God, what is it? It's the same thing. I hear the same thing over and over. There's nothing original or creative about it. Right? So it's that beauty is not in the object. It's reflected in the object. The beauty that recognizes the object has to be in the one that's recognizing it. Otherwise, it can't be recognized. So nothing has inherent beauty. If it had inherent beauty, that is, it was beautiful, whoever looked at it would have to see beauty. Okay? So the thing itself is neutral. This is what Buddha was referring to when he said it has no self. It has no inherent qualities whatsoever. The qualities that are seen in it belong to the seer. This is why the sage sees the reality of everything. It sees that nothing out there possesses the qualities that are seen. The qualities are in the seer. Now, it's not the kind of thing that you just get it intellectually, because we've been habituated to say, oh, really, that's really beautiful, isn't it? That's beautiful. He's beautiful. She's beautiful. That thing is beautiful. What a beautiful idea. What a beautiful car, right? They've all been programmed to believe, to project that sense of beauty, just like happiness, onto an object. And the idea that it doesn't possess any inherent qualities is completely foreign to us. It's completely foreign to the Western mind. It's completely foreign to the materialistic way of thinking. And the world is in a state of materialistic thinking unparalleled in all times. It's completely lost the animus. It sees nothing animated or beautiful about this world. I saw a meme. It was the most dumbfounding thing that somebody had put out on Facebook or somewhere, and it showed what people think love is, and had the beautiful picture, roses and wine and kissing and all that kind of stuff. What it really is, and he had a diagram of a molecule. Like love could be reduced down to a bunch of chemical processes. That's like saying you can understand the Mona Lisa by analyzing the chemical makeup of paint. It is so blind. It sees everything as just a result of a material process. None of it's real. It is so nihilistic. It cannot explain beauty. For all the wonder and incredible power and innovation of science, it can't explain beauty. You can't take a material, any kind of material structure, and explain Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, or Shakespeare's sonnet, or Jimi Hendrix doing the Star Spangled Banner. You can't explain that. It's another whole other dimension, and yet we perceive it. So I could just leave it with that it's like light. Is I use this example all the time. You look at the color of a flower. Right? The shirt is blue, right? We'd say the shirt is blue. And of course, that's the common language. Well, the shirt isn't blue. The shirt doesn't have color. It has reflective capability. Color belongs to the light. And on top of that, the light is restricted by the device receiving it. It's only been in the last, I think, like 2,000 years, they estimate, that we've been able to see blue. In writing before a particular time, the word color blue never appears. They use different kinds of metaphors and colors to describe the sky and the sea, so it's like we couldn't always see it. Now, if you're a dog or a cat, there's very little color. It's black and white. Right? So what is that then? The entire experience is subjective. It's internal. And something is beautiful because of the meaning I give it, and it strikes me, and I'm open to it. I remember there's several pieces of art: Picasso's Lady in Black, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, the Rosetta Stone. I remember particularly, I was at the Guggenheim when I saw Picasso's Lady in Black. I just stood there. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Same thing at the Dali Museum. I couldn't take my eyes off it. People are walking by, they look, they check their little thing, and they walk off to the next thing, which means they didn't see it. I'm hyperventilating because it just hit me so hard. Not all art does that. A lot does, right? Because I've cultivated a sense for it and appreciation of it. But you can see, not everybody experienced what I did. So where did the beauty lie? Right? Is it in the picture? Is it in the artist? Or is it in the seer? Again, I reiterate, if it was in the thing, everybody would see the same thing. So it must be in the seer. It must be in the perceiver. So beauty definitely is in the eye of the beholder. And that's what it means that the beauty you see out there is a manifestation or a reflection of the beauty that is you. The mountain you see out there is the mountain that is you. The expanse of the sky, the beautiful horizon, the sunset, the oceanscape. The beauty of those is you. It is reflecting back to you, you. You in your wholeness, in your purity, cannot be seen. You're unknowable. You're that contentment, that absolutely still emptiness that allows for all attributes to be seen. But all those attributes are attributes of the emptiness. Everything seen is an attribute of the seer. Just like you stand in front of a mirror and you do not see the attributes of the mirror, you see you. Every object is a mirror in which you are seeing you. And the you see is the face of God. Why? Because the face of God is you. So I think I'll leave it at that. Milo, hopefully that helps. Hope that helps everybody as I turn over here. It's so weird just looking at a camera and talking to people, but I know you're there. Hello, Life is Flow. Sifu, that's Penny. Namaste, long time. Let's see, what is self-care exactly? I hear and read it everywhere at the moment. You know, I did an entire show, Homeschool Live, with Lisa on that subject of self-care. Called it The Shoemaker's Children Have No Shoes. And I'll refer that. It's here on YouTube. You can look it up. You can also get it on Spreaker, or it's out there as a podcast as well. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on iHeartRadio. What's the big one? I always forget. With the green logo, it's on all those platforms to look at, which goes into it in depth. And Lisa asked some really great questions about it. But in brief, what I'll say, it's the highest, since this is satsang, the highest self-care is to know yourself as you are. Unless you know yourself as you are, you can't give yourself what you need, period. Right? You'll always be giving yourself something based on a model you were taught and not the reality of you. So self-care is treating your body well, good food, exercise, rest, not straining it. It's keeping stress out of your life. It's removing stressful relationships and difficulties. That has a lot to do with it. But mostly, it's really about self-love and self-discovery. The highest self-love, self-care one can do for themselves is to seek your true nature, to know who you really are. Because in that, all suffering ends. When you know who you are, everything automatically comes into right balance. You say yes when you mean yes, no when you mean no. Relationships harmonize. The ones that are truly valuable and genuine and authentic will grow and be amplified. The ones that aren't will just fade away without criticism, without struggle, without judgment. They'll just very naturally begin to separate from you, because that's the nature. It's the nature of truth. Love unites and truth separates. Vedanta is the inward path that is separation from everything that is not you until the you is discovered, which then turns around and takes the path of Tantra, in which the reality, the union with all, where I am everything, is experienced. First it's I am nothing, then it's I am everything. That's the highest self-care. You know, there's a lot of talk about it these days. It's all from the self-help personal development stance, and which is good, because there is a tendency, and I've worked with people who are very sensitive, they're empathic, right? They're involved in the healing arts, of all kinds, right? And oftentimes their immersion into helping others has been a way in which they've compensated for a childhood trauma that they're keeping at bay, because they're always focused on somebody else. So for all the good that it is, it can also be another place to hide. And you know, sometimes when people go through the process of genuine spiritual inquiry, and the false self begins to fall away, I've had people come and say, "My God, I'm being so nasty. I don't like anybody." And I said, well, yes, because the other was a facade. You were just pretending to like everybody. This had to come up. Don't worry, you're not going to become an ass. You'll like people again. But it's very important that the persona of the one who's taking care of everyone right, go away. And the genuine love and compassion that is always balanced, always, always harmonious and flowing is what really comes to the flow. That's when you know how to give and make boundaries at the same time, to the point where you become so transparent the boundaries aren't even necessary because everything just passes right through you. So I think that's uh, a good a good approach to it. But if you really want to dive more deeply into it, we spent an hour on the subject, and it's called "The Shoemaker's Children Have No Shoes." Yeah. So great. Thank you, Annette. There's John in Scotland. Sheehan, happy St. Patrick's Day to the clan from Ireland. Yeah, that's right. It's not today, though, is it? No. It's Wednesday or Thursday, I guess. Yeah. That's where I hail from, although my great grandmother is from Wales. I even have the documentation on her. So, which is really funny. I've even got a picture of her. My sister had. She showed it to me yesterday. I visited my sister. My picture of my great grandmother before I was born. There's Steffi. Hello from Germany. Hello to you. Crispin, I wonder who is actually listening when I pray. Since there's no entity out there, I must be the one I pray to. Consequently, praying can only be the confirmation of my divine being, right? Ultimately, that's where it gets to. Yeah. Because there is no other out there. For most of the world, God is the ultimate absolute other. And so, like the projection of beauty, the projection of all of our goodness is on this being up here, and all our fears. So this God becomes the lawmaker, the law enforcer, the brutal enforcer, the absolute authority, takes on all the characteristics really of the oppressive tribe. And God has all the good qualities, and I got stuck with all the bad qualities. That's what happens. But it's all you. Yeah, that is you. It's all of us. And so prayer, as it becomes more humble and is willing to let go of more and more of the ideas of what it thinks God is, right, rather than reinforcing it constantly, which is the state of the evangelicals these days. What happens is an opening takes place, and the individual, through devotion, the path of the bhakti, loses less and less of their own will and begins to reflect more and more the divine will. This is the path of devotion. And there comes a point at which that opens enough to self-inquiry that final obstacle, that final block, because to the one who is devotional, the last thing they want to do is to give up the object of their devotion. But that ultimate last step is when the moth loves the flame, but it's not complete until it is the flame. It completely dissolves into that, and all there is the divine being. So there's not two. So even devotion disappears into the absolute singularity. So it can be a progression if it's guided correctly. But you're absolutely right. It is the spirit of prayer. And the spirit of prayer is just the humble surrender of my opinions. In Zen, they have a saying, don't seek enlightenment, just drop your opinions. It's that simple. Just drop your opinions and go and be completely open to whatever it is. And it's in that space, and you can feel that's a prayerful state. It's humility, not my will, but thine be done, which Jesus exemplified, especially in the Garden of Gethsemane. That's the open door that allows, because that surrender the ego can't do. And that's where the heart goes beyond the ego and seeks and finally realizes the object of its devotion, that the being it has been worshipped is its very self. So, great, Crispin. Great. Hello, Liza. Oh, look at that. It was 4444. Look at it. Just when it was 4444. It's got to have some meaning, right? I never get the 11:11 thing. I always miss it. Get like 11:13. I like close. So they must be trying to tell me something. Kimpy Kimpton. Hello. Namaste from Kansas City. Welcome. I think I might have seen you before, but I'm not 100% sure. There's Bob, Melissa. Hello. It's Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth. I think you are new too, perhaps. There's Merck in Sweden. There's Carl. Hi, Carl. IGP. When you've had some experience of the observer, is it normal for part of you to become totally pissed off with the life the false self has created? How do you know when you need to make a change in your life or just observe the disgruntled part of me into oblivion? Notice the disgruntled part. Notice that the disgruntled you is also being witnessed, is also being observed. And yes, of course, as the false self begins to deconstruct, all sorts of stuff is going to come up. You can find yourself spontaneously crying on the subway or the bus. I've had that experience. Just trying to hold it back, right? Not the appropriate spot for blubbering. So it is quite normal for all sorts of stuff, because as the walls come down, remember that the egoic mind is a container, and it was meant to contain these feelings, because if those feelings got out, it created the traumas of your early childhood. They were the you that couldn't come out, because when they did, you suffered, you got hurt, you were dismissed, rejected, all the stuff you feared. And so the ego is part of this. The ego is the sense of self projected on this solid container, on this shell that was built by the nervous system around you to keep you contained, to keep you safe. And then as we developed, that container got personified. We projected our sense of self onto it, and that became the egoic mind. Now, the self that projected itself on that isn't the ego. That is the I am consciousness, right? And this whole process of non-duality is turning the I am consciousness back to its source. Disidentification with the egoic mind, which is simply a projection on the conditioning of the nervous system, that shell, and turning back towards its source, the I going back to the Father. And that process of observing is that process of disidentification. You're moving out of identifying with the form and into the formless. And as that structure begins to kind of come apart, all the stuff that wasn't allowed out before starts coming out. Right? It starts emerging. You can find yourself angry about stuff, maybe even enraged. You can find relationships that once were everything you wanted are like very, very unsatisfying and disappointing. You can find the job that you were in. God, I hate this job. I used to think it was the greatest thing in the world. And you can find a lot of places in your life where you've got obligations and you're stuck that really don't fit you anymore. And this can be an uncomfortable transitional period. But if you keep going back to the witnessing, right, and just stay with the witnessing, even the desire to know when to make a change is still the egoic mind trying to manipulate things, trying to get rid of the discomfort, right? Just sit back, sink into it, and observe the discomfort. If you can observe it, if you can perceive it, it can't be you, right? You're the only thing you can't see. Everything else that you would be separate from is observed. It's subject-object relationship. The only thing in the entire universe you cannot observe is yourself. Therefore, everything you observe is not you, whatever it is. No matter how subtle the feeling is, it's still being observed by you. No matter how wonderful the experience is, right? You've just had this extraordinary experience of seeing God, right? Through meditation or maybe plant medicine, right? And get all absorbed into it. And yet you can still go, but wait, I'm observing it. It can't be me. because that would be two. And I can't step outside of myself and take a look back because I go with me. Wherever you go, there you are. You cannot see yourself, which means you cannot know yourself. You cannot think of yourself. No image that you can hold can possibly be you. The witness cannot be witnessed. It has no form. It has no location. It has no attributes. It is that silence, that stillness, that contentment. Because even the tiniest little ripple is witnessed. Even the primordial sound from which all creation arises, Om, is witnessed. It arises out of silence, returns back to the silence. What is that silence? It's not something you observe. You are the silence. And so just keep going back to the witness. Even the thought, what do I do? Oh, how do I get rid of this? Or, right, how did you put it? The disgruntled part of me into oblivion. Even the desire to witness it into oblivion is being observed. So that's not you either. That also is just part of the conditioning. It's part of the functioning of life. And you are not the functioning of life. You are life. You are its source. You are the invisible, pure background that makes all of it possible. So just go deeper into witnessing until everything that claims to be you has been uprooted and there's nothing left but you, the unknowable, ineffable, indistinguishable you that is even beyond the word witness. Even the witnessing is being witnessed. And isn't it you that is watching even the witnessing? That witness cannot be put into words. It cannot be fathomed. And yet you are that. That is the pure you. And for any of you that went by you too fast, it's okay. You don't have to get all of this. And so hopefully it didn't go by you, Carl. There's Jojo loves it. Hey, Johanna. Love to you. Bob, I covered it. Thank you for that. There's Plan. There's Jay. Hello to everyone. How nice your question is. I am longing for the answer. Rosario. That's Rosario to Bob. Faith. Is my culture praying about being humble, bugging, asking from a place of weakness to some great merciful God? There's some beauty there, some kind of romance there. Yes, that was the point I was trying to make. However, recently I started asking for guidance to pray as I should. Pray not from a place of victim, nor with arrogance. I am goddess. Oh, that is that prayer, right? How do I pray, right? Not as you recognize. And the fact is, much of your prayer has already been fulfilled. You already recognize that you can see that victim mentality when it arises. You move back from it. You can see the arrogance when it arises. Right? That which is seeing is the answer to your prayer. Right? The very act that inspires the prayer, that sees the great romance of it, that feels the sentiment of prayer, right? You didn't create that. That is God. The reality is God is praying to herself. God is recognizing herself. God is playing hide and go seek with herself for the experience of being. This is the great realization. You are what you're seeking. What you are looking for is where you are looking from. And so just stay with the witnessing of it, Faith. Just let that prayer of gratitude be, my God, I see it. I see the victim when it comes up. I notice when I'm going, oh, woe is me, poor me, God, please help me. And wait a minute. No, I'm not begging. I don't have to beg. I am not the victim. You witness that. And in the witnessing, you naturally move more and more towards the equanimable center. And some arrogance, but oh, look how much I know. Oh, I am so spiritual, right? I can do, I can bend my body in all these positions. I can do all these advanced yoga things. Oh, I am so spiritual, right? Or I'm a vegan. I don't eat any of that. You shouldn't be eating that. All of that, you see it. It's just another morphing, another shapeshift of the egoic mind. But you that sees that is not the egoic mind. The egoic mind can't see it. The ego can't smell its own breath. If you see that sense of victimhood arising, that which is seeing it is not the victim. That is the insight, the consciousness you have been praying for and praying to. And you'll discover at some point that it is also the consciousness that's been doing the praying. So I love the fact that you put into that there's some beauty there. Even a prayer to a merciful God that one believes answers prayer is different than begging a God that you're afraid of. I mean, the whole evangelical idea that we should fear God for all the horrible things you cannot love and fear that a being. You cannot love that God. You can't do it. Love and fear cannot coexist. In love, there cannot be fear. And so the fact that you are witnessing that is the beauty. The fact that you feel that sentiment, the romance of it, the religious sentiment of it, the surrender of it, the devotionalness of it, the namaste of it is I mean, that's it. That is the answer to prayer. The purification and rarefying of prayer is an answer to prayer. We think that the answer to prayer is when I get the thing that I'm asking for, but it really is the transformation that prayer brings about in the one praying. The transformation in the supplicant that the supplication engenders. All prayers are answered. They just almost never come in the form that we want them to, because that's simply the ego wanting what it wants and wanting God to give it. The humble says, I don't even really know what I want. Please show me how to pray. Open my eyes, Lord. Oh, this and the most beautiful prayer I ever heard. Lord, replace me with you. Oh, it was like a 13th century Italian monk who said that. Obviously a mystic. Lord, replace me with you. Just God is a sucker for that prayer, by the way. You got, oh damn, I can't pass that one up. Oh, Faith, so beautiful, so beautiful. Ciara, thank you, and apologies for my bad language. Hope you are well, G. I didn't notice any bad language. Ciara, did you put something earlier? I guess you're talking about not being good with English rather than using nasty words. Melissa K, greetings, G. Would you say a word on discernment in our interactions and relationships, growing the place of perception? Thank you. Not quite sure I understand that. So grateful to be here today. I'm grateful you're here too. I'm not sure I'm going to say a word on discernment in our interactions and relationships. Well, discernment is simply wisdom. When we are identified with the body mind, with conditioning, with the egoic mind, which is nothing but a projection on this kind of this shell been wrapped around us to defend ourselves, we will, all of our interactions and relationships will be seen through those eyes. They will be interpreted from that point of view. So we will not really see the person or the experience or the circumstance you're in. And it doesn't matter what kind of relationship, from the most intimate to the most informal. Um, it will all be colored by that. So the growth of discernment is the first bodhisattva practice that Buddha gave to those who had gotten to the level of a bodhisattva, the ones seeking enlightenment for the benefit of all beings and not just for themselves. And that was becoming adept at discerning the perceptions of our own mind. The key is, in every relationship and in everything you experience, there's the experience and then there's your reaction to it. And that reaction forms your perception of it. So what do I think it is? What do I think happened? What meaning does that hold for me? Now, no event, as I was saying before about happiness and about beauty, no event has intrinsic meaning. Again, this is what Buddha meant when he said it has no self. It has no intrinsic meaning whatsoever. So when you say that experience was horrible or that experience was wonderful, the experience is the same. And somebody else can have the same experience, go, this is the greatest thing that ever happened. Where the other somebody else can go, God, that was horrible. I never want to do that again. Somebody else can go, yeah, well, whatever, you know. And the entire range in between, the entire continuum in between. So what was the actual experience itself? It's not in the thing. It's not in the event. Every reaction in our nervous system is that. Believe it or not, every single reaction in our nervous system is that. It's getting a little chilly in here. Down in the basement / playroom. Our nervous system, right from the get-go, from the time of being a tiny, tiny baby, even still in the womb, is already beginning to create reactive patterns to events. Those will be shaped by the environment we're in, by the karma we bring with us, by kind of the nature of this particular body-mind, but mostly by the environment of the tribe and the conditions that we're in, which teach us this event means this. And so it gets programmed into the nervous system as a set of reactions. Now, because the state of childhood, these events and their consequences, I do this, this happens, is consistent, it gets kind of solidified into the autonomic nervous system as automatic responses. So you don't have to think about it anymore. And the end result is that the nervous system creates an energetic map of reality. So this is reality. This event means this. And then does not recognize that it's arbitrary, that it's only the result of this particular environment, and therefore thinks it's an absolute truth and projects onto the event the meaning which it doesn't have. This is the whole structure. That structure is the conditioning, which then, as we develop, a sense of self emerges, and that sense of self defines itself by this structure. So now I am this. I am this container. And now I think this is what that event means. And it doesn't. It's completely arbitrary. When we realize that connection, that hardwired connection, we find out isn't hardwired at all. It's software. And with a little bit of practice and a little bit of guidance, you can begin. The first thing I teach is how to allow, which is notice an event takes place. Notice the reaction that happens in the nervous system and the impulse the nervous system has to take some action as a result of it. You witness the event, you feel the reaction, but you don't take the action that you've been programmed to take. It is undoubtedly the most uncomfortable place to be because you don't know what the hell to do, because all of this has been pre-programmed. But in that space, if you don't act it out, the hard wire between the event and your action gets severed. That's when space begins to open up, and that's when freedom from that pattern can emerge. And if you take a personal development point of view, that's a place where you can create a new habit, a more positive, more progressive, more functional If you take the more spiritual approach, you don't replace it with anything. You just be. And at that point, your true nature begins to emerge. Because even with the personal development, it's better, of course. You're more functional, but it's still not you. If you can stay in there long enough, what happens is the original innocence that was there before the conditioning happened begins to emerge. The real you begins to come out. And you find that real you, the nature of that real you, is what we call God. That is the universe. And that all of this is this one huge, enormous functioning that we call the universe, that we call life. So that's the discernment. So no matter what happens, to the one who, the true seeker, the one who's dedicated to this path I'm outlining, every reaction doesn't become about the person. It becomes you begin to watch your reactions. Because the fact of the matter, you can't tell. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't assholes out there, right? There are, right? But you can't really discern them properly. You'll trust people you shouldn't trust and not trust people you should, simply because our perceptions are distorted. That discernment has to emerge, and that's the process by which we are increasingly less moved by these predefined programmed responses. To that degree do we see more clearly what's actually happening, and therefore we become discerning in our relationships and our interactions. We begin to see things as they really are, which is, in the Four Noble Truths of Suffering, the fourth noble truth, the eightfold noble path that leads out of suffering. The very first step in that path is right views, seeing things as they are. That's the open door to being completely free from all suffering, and as a result, completely open to the genuine relationships and interactions which allow us to experience the full juice of intimacy in this life, the full humanness. It doesn't discard us and have us sitting on a mountain somewhere chanting Om all the time. It's right in the earthiness of life. So hopefully that answers it for you, Melissa. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded. Hello, Tatiana. Oh gosh, I owe you an answer to that email. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please. Oh, sometimes I can be so bad. You're very welcome, Bob. Hello, Peter. Italy. Barbara in Sweden. Barbro in Sweden. Then how a sage sees everything. What does he see? Well, it sees exactly the same thing you do, only without any additional overhead. Sees it as it is. Sees absolutely everything the same, but sees it not through a filter of conditioning. That's it. So I see this mic, just like you see this mic, but it's more than a mic. I see the mic as just being this temporary form that is not a form at all. It's a combination of a bunch of other things. And you can see you can see this is one thing, one organism. Just as we think of the body as one thing, I read the body, singular, but in fact, it's 100 trillion cells. It's not singular at all. It's a walking zoo. and none of the things of which that make it up are a body. There's not one me in any of it. So where's the me that is coming through this body? That's the mystery, and that's what the sage sees. It sees the you that's coming through the form. It sees the one being in all beings, and therefore is without fear. Because what is there to fear when everything is myself? It's what I see in you is simply what I see in me, and we are one. There is no difference. Hello, Jeep. Hello, Mary. Remy, how do we wake up to get the knot from behind our eyes? Step back, and whatever that form that knot might be taking, don't conceptualize it. Don't think of it as something you have to get rid of, because the moment you do that, you've turned it into an enemy. You've given it power, you've given it authority, you've given it presence. All of that's a projection from you. Take a step back. When you refer to that I, what are you referring to? Not conceptually. Is there a sensation there? Okay. Be with this, witness the sensation, and don't name it. Don't name it a knot, don't name it a problem, nothing. Just pure sensation. And notice that the less there is of mind about it, the less suffering there is in it, to the point where it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. It may be there for a reason, it may not, doesn't matter. It's just something you are witnessing. And then take one more step back and notice that, well, if there's a knot, whatever it might be, it's not me. I'm witnessing it. And then you just, little by little, you just drop the need to get rid of it. Who cares if it's there or not? It doesn't matter. See, if I have to get rid of it in order to be free, I'm not free. Matter of fact, I'm a slave to it. It's determining my life. But of course, it's not determining my life. It's my belief about it that's determining my life. It has no power. It has no place. It has no self. It has no sentience. It has no existence apart from you. So whatever it is you're looking at, whatever it is you're referring to as a knot, even drop the word knot. Drop the idea that somehow it has to go away or you have to get rid of it. Drop the idea that there's this thing here that's in the way of you being who you are, in the way of you accomplishing what you want to accomplish in life. And recognize that's all a projection in your mind. There is nothing in the way of you being who you are. And notice that there is something very real that is aware of that knot. And that something is you, which means it's simply something appearing to you. It isn't you, and it's not an entity that can do anything to you. It has no power. And then it will cease to have any authority over you. And you won't care whether it's there or not. It simply won't matter. That's freedom. That's real freedom. Brent, hello, Brent. Brother GP, what are some ways we could support you more? I gain more than I can save from you in the time you give to us, and I would love to give back more. Well, I have actually just recently set up, I'll put it up there, it's really simple, a donation, a place where people can make donation. That helps. People that might have a certain kind of skill that they can volunteer to help us out. Lisa and I are always trying to get people. We have people that sometimes help another. I've got a couple that are just there all the time that are totally devoted to this work. And the idea is that in return, if you help by volunteering and to do something, if there's something we need done, it's how I let people have more access to me, because the best way to learn how to be this and do this, and to perhaps someday teach it, is to just be exposed to it as much as you possibly can. So the donations help. Obviously, I'm asking for donations for the event that I'm doing in the coming week. Lisa and I've actually put together a business plan. We need some funding to do something we want to accomplish, and it's more money than either one of us has. So we're actually looking for some investors. So if you know anybody who wants to invest anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 in something that actually has a good return on investment, I know enough about business to do that. Let me know. Just kind of put it out there. Also, any places that that might be potential places where I could speak, especially something that I'm interested in, is taking the process of interreconciliation into businesses, into companies. there's such a need because companies are the new world. And countries don't run the world anymore. Companies do. And so to infiltrate those at a level, a grassroots level, with a different kind of perspective about things, I think would be very valuable. So if any of you work for some company that might want to have somebody like me come in and speak, I've been speaking forever. I got a whole bunch of material I can send them about speaking, my history and all of that, and subjects I could speak about that would be appropriate for a business. So those are the ways that I could be helped, and I mean, just wonderful. I'm going to hide that again now. Thank you so much for Brent for bringing that up. It's really touching. It's really touching to me, because I don't think about it that much. I mean, this just is what I do. I couldn't not do it. So when people say, well, thank you so much you've helped me so much, I go, really? I just say what comes to mind. And there just comes a time when all of this becomes just so natural that you don't even think about it. It just happens. But then, little things erupt, and I have my stuff that pops up, and mistakes I make, and I can go, oh brother, why did I do that? That still happens. I hear other spiritual teachers that I respect say the same thing. I go, ooh, I could have done it. I could have done that better. You just never know when the weakness is some trauma or some programmed response that button just hasn't been pushed quite yet. Pops up even in the most enlightened mind. So, oh, thank you. That really touches me, Brent. Thank you so much. Creative Revolution. I love what you're saying about self-care. I shall definitely check out the Shoemakers Have No Shoes. Shoemakers' Children Have No Shoes, which is a classic line. I'm going through that exact experience of lots of friends dropping away and finding my authentic friendships. Very good. Very good. Wonderful. Oh, it's so meaningful for me to see you growing, your growth, Susanna. It just touches me deeply. I'm kind of the father of the world, I never wanted to be a dad in the first place. I just wanted to be a drugged out rock and roll drummer. And now I've got like thousands of kids and grandkids. What can I say? Steffi is laughing. I get the 11:11 all the time. Yeah, of course you do. I get 11:12, I get 11:09. Oh, well. The angels are just playing with me. They're just playing with me. They'd rather spill a bowl of hot soup on my lap. Jay, was Ramana's attention complete in awareness? Is that the reason why he was quiet for the most part? I mean, in his documentaries, nothing around him seemed to pique his interest. Yes. I've even saw a picture of him from the 30s, right? So it wasn't doctored. And the guy who actually made the picture, I mean, immediately. And he was walking by a door, and there was rain on the floor. And the guy shot the picture just as he happened to be walking by it. And there, was a puddle there, and you could see the reflection in the puddle. And the door was reflected in the puddle, but he wasn't. Yes, there was no ego there. There was no person there at all. It was pure being. It was the pure self. He was and is that very silence that when you come into that place of pure witnessing even the noise, that silence is Ramana. The reason his silent satsangs were so powerful is because there was this inherent recognition, even though what you weren't conscious of it, that the silence was you. And in that, I mean, really, can you divide silence up? Is there a silence over there and a silence over here? You can't divide it up. It's the same silence everywhere. Same thing with stillness. It's the same stillness everywhere. I say over and over again, when you get to that point and it's absolutely quiet and there's just a pure witnessing, there's just a pure sense of being. Can you imagine somebody else having a different sense of being? You can feel the universality of it. It is the sense of being, the universal experience, the one being. And you can call that Ramana, which is why, the guru was worshipped as a god, because the guru was simply another name. I mean, God, Yahweh, Christ, Buddha, any of the names we give, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, Zeus, right? Any name we give it is you, is that experience. And my particular guru, I might call it, I might call him Shankar or something. But I recognize Muji as myself. He's my personal teacher at this point on the earth, right? But I recognize that it's me. He's reflecting me back to me. Even those times when I'm with him, when my ego became irritated, he's reflecting me back to me. The points where he was kind of distant, right? It was me being distant from me. I was distant from me. It was always a reflection back. The true guru is that. So I can call this silence Muji. I can call it Nirsigadada. I can call it Raman. I can call it Papaji. I can call it Buddha. I can call it Christ. I can call it Saint Francis. Right? I can call it Mother Mary. It doesn't matter what I call it, how I personally might want to relate to it. And that's, again, the theme of prayer, how I relate to that. Right? And that relation just brings me closer and closer to the object of my adoration until, like the moth in the flame, I become the flame. I merge with it. So, thank you, Jay. Yeah, and as on a personal level, yeah, I mean, he was just total quiet. There was just total stillness. So the interest was extremely subtle. It wasn't a personal interest. You see him petting the monkey. You see him with his pet cow, which he adored. His name was Gita, right? The pet cow that followed him around, right? You'd see pictures of him walking, and his pet cow would be next to him. She adored him, and you could see the smile on his face when he was with him. But we're so familiar of that image of him with that look on his eye. And I've spent time just staring into that face, and it's just like, it's devotional. At some point I'll have my own place, and I'll have some pictures on the wall, these great pictures of Ramana and Muji, because it's not idol worship or hero worship. You're seeing the self in them. That's what it's really about. Right? And even the process of depersonalizing it, and depersonalizing prayer. First, the worship of the guru, this great wisdom and this wonderful person. Little by little, you begin to merge more and more, and that face that you're looking at, you realize is your own face. It's the original face. You begin to see the original face of God shining through this particular form. As Muji himself said, Muji's unimportant. God could raise a million Mujis. So hopefully that answers it for you, Jay. Mary, great explanation to Carl. Thank you, Mary. I do too, Steph. You all get to see 11:11 all the time, and I don't. That's not fair. Hey, I'm the guru here. Hey, share. I'm mad now. I'm mad at God. Red Rose, Sonia, how can you tell if you're giving yourself compassion and comfort versus being the victim mentality? Love you much. I love you too. Well, it has a qualitative difference, don't you? The very fact that you can talk about it means you know that there's a difference. And sometimes we can find ourselves kind of falling into the victim, and it's okay, right? once you realize you have, and you will, because you've already awoken to a certain degree, you'll notice that, and every time it happens, you'll learn the flavor of it more, till the point where you'll find that the moment it begins to stop it, you'll go, oh, what, oh, oh no, oh God, that's victim, no thank you, and you pull back. But remember, it's kind of a habit. It's a reflex. If that's a place we've gone to as a means of protection, that's all it was, right? Okay, if I roll on my back and I hold my paws up and I expose my stomach, they won't hurt me. I mean, that's what the victim mentality is. And it learns that if it becomes a victim and woe is me, it gets what it needs. So it's not even something to judge yourself about, but just recognize that it became reflex. So you just do it. Right? And so now you're becoming aware of it, and which means it's becoming less and less reflective, and you have more and more conscious ability to go, oh, I'm not going there. Right? And the very fact that you're willing to look at it is the compassion. Now, if it happens and you don't condemn yourself, that's compassion. Right? If you recognize that you really need some time by yourself, you really need some affection, you really need some whatever, that's compassion. Recognizing that. And you just discern, because they have a very distinctly different taste. It's the tares in the wheat. I did an email about that a while ago, throwing out the baby with the bathwater, the tares in the wheat. That story that Christ said, the parable of the man who had the wheat field, and his enemies in the middle of the night came in and planted tares in his wheat field, and as they started to grow, the people who worked for him noticed them. Oh my God, they're filled up with wheat. Should we pull them out? He says, well, no, if you pull them out, you're going to pull out the wheat with it. Let them grow together to the harvest. And then at the harvest, we can gather all the tares, take them off and be burned, gather the wheat into the barns. It was this kind of discernment that we have to be really patient with ourselves. We have to let discernment mature so you can distinctly see the difference. And here's the beauty. The moment you see the difference, you simply can't do it anymore. It's self-correcting. It doesn't require an act of will. You don't have to force yourself to do it. You just see it and you go, oh, there it is. And the very act of seeing it heals you of it. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Did I get it for you there? Red Rose. My Red Rose. Creative Revolution. I love you, G. I love you too, Susanna. My creative little imp. Kieran, namaste to you. Mary, the answer to faith has me in tears. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Creative. I believe G has a donation button on this. I've really made it work this time. Yeah, I even had to pay extra to get one that would work really effectively on my site. Kieran, is it possible, necessary to shed all self-identities we have? Well, if you're saying, can I get rid of being Kieran, a guy with a relationship and a job and doing some things, the answer is no. Right? If you got rid of that, you would be dysfunctional. That's the schizophrenic. They can't be anybody. Right? Completely lost, and either become absolutely so stuck on something that it becomes completely wrapped up in this little shell, or they just kind of float from place to place. Both are dysfunctional. Right? We're always taking on identities, right? Right now, what's my identity? I'm the spiritual teacher holding satsang, right? When this is done, what will my identity be? Well, I've got some other things I have to do. Believe me, I am not the guru when my granddaughter is here. Baba, let's play dolls, right? Read me a book. Come on, let's play hide and go seek. There are monsters here. We have to get the monsters. Right. So I'm the identity of grandpa. I'm friend. I'm buddy. I'm father. I'm grandfather. I'm companion. These are all forms that we take. They're all roles we play. We very naturally flow into them and flow out of them. What the problem is, this one, this sense, that sense of self, which is singular. It's one, projects itself on this, and out of that, a self-image develops that is none of those things. But that self-image narrows the field. So I can be this, I can't be that. This is okay, this is not. And you end up getting stuck. You get stuck in a one or a small subset of those identity, the range which you allow yourself, right? As long as you are recognizing that you are this emptiness that moves from form to form to form to form at will, and you, in fact, are nothing at all, you're free. Now you become something, you step out of it, you're in it, you put on the costume, you take it off. This was kind of the final step, and I'm turning this on right now because it's gotten cold here. Turn a little space heater. That was really kind of the final step that broke the whole thing open for me, was in the with the Zen master, where suddenly I had been seeking for the ultimate, the absolute truth, this which unwittingly I was thinking is something in particular, and suddenly I saw the nothingness, the emptiness, and I just flowed. And from that moment on, everything about me changed. Right, I was not stuck anywhere any longer, and people noticed the difference. I talked to somebody I talked to a year before, a Zen master. He says, wow, it was like night and day. The wisdom had been liberated from any particular form, and now I moved freely from one form into another without getting stuck anywhere. Which doesn't say at times I'll get stuck somewhere, I'll get fixated on something. It happens. You go, oh, there, it happened again. Shoo, let it go back into the flow. It's what Nisargadatta was referring to when he said, to know that you are nothing is wisdom. To know that you are everything is love. Between these two, my life flows. And I ask, well, who are you? He says, no one in particular. I cannot define me, but I manifest me in every moment. I'm manifesting me now as the teacher. Later on, I'll manifest myself as a video editor. I'll manifest myself as the grandpa, a job I'm really loving, by the way. um, all of these are me, and none of these are me. Right? Yet you put it all together, and you can't separate the two. It's music in the song. I'm the self, and the self takes this form. So I am both GP and the infinite being simultaneously. And so are you. This is what is happening. This is what you are doing. But the mind fixates and gets stuck and creates the imaginary sense of being stuck. That's all it is, because you're not actually stuck. It's always happening all the time, which is why this is a realization and not an attainment. It's like, oh, damn, it's always been this way. I thought it was something else. Life is always flowing. It's the mind which takes pictures and holds it. Boom, this is what I am. That's mind. It's not at what you are. It's never been what you are. You are indefinable. So you're shedding all identification with various forms and identities, but not the identities themselves. Just the hard relationship that says I am that. It's just, no, I'm not that. I appear as that. Who am I? Nothing in particular. You cannot define me. You can't even know me. You can't know yourself. Because to know is to put a line around it. You cannot know the infinite. You can only be it. And you are it. And there's no way you can't be. Lifestyle love stories, Lisa. Hey, there's Lisa. Yes, very good. My partner in crime, both my business partner and the producer of my show. Thanks to her, people actually know who I am. And she does all the connecting and the networking. She's got the personality for it. The older I get, the more I just want to go in the cave and not come out. As long as the cave has a picture window and a fireplace. Yeah. Let's see. Lisa said, is the war of filtering, a filter of conditioning, feeding off of Rosario's request. Okay, so Rosario said, GP, could you tell us something about the spiritual approach to the war we are living at the moment? Oh, well, it's really that's why I'm putting on this event on Saturday, praying for the world, to try to bring us together into a different perspective. We can look at it in a variety of different ways. If you look at it from the geopolitical angle, I can see all the reasons why it's happening. I can see all the players. Nobody's pure in this. People want to blame Putin, but he's scared to death of NATO. NATO and the United States have consistently lied to the Soviet Union for decades. They have no reason to trust us. Again, I don't condemn war or the attacking. I saw one of our secretaries of state from the past condemning it. This is an act of war, a preemptive invasion of a country. It's against the Nuremberg trials, which she herself authorized and supported when we did it in Iraq, Afghanistan, all over the place. The hypocrisy is record highs. Guinness Book of Records should be handing out an award for that. So if you try to solve this simply by finding good guys and bad guys, and we will get wrapped up in our shorts, and that the same thing will just continue happening over and over and over again. The starting point is not my will, but thine be done. I know that everything that happens can't happen without there being something in consciousness that is making it happen. There's an underlying invisible cause to what we see as the visible results. There's an underlying invisible mental distortion, and it manifests. This is really a battle between two economic systems: communism, government control, and capitalism, which is company control. Right? Both are dictatorial, both are authoritarian, both are merciless and have no regard for human or animal life. Both are equally destructive, right? And both of them are a manifestation of the selfishness of the egoic mind, right? Its incapacity for empathy, and its desire to control others, and amass power to do that. External power. And it's got to be external power because the egoic mind has no intrinsic power, because it is a fraud. It's a fiction. It doesn't exist. It can't possibly feel safe or stable. And so you have entire economic systems built on this. The entire structure of the world is that. It's why I say this is an epic shift. This is an epoch shift. This is not just we're going to get to a kinder, gentler form of the systems. It's not just a different way of doing communism or capitalism. It's a complete and total raising of the field. None of it works anymore. Absolutely none of it. And what we're seeing is all the symptoms of a universal system that's been around for about 12, 13,000 years that is finally dying. This is the inevitable consequence of it. There isn't any other result you can get from this approach to human organization, based on the egoic sense of self, than this. This is inevitable. This is what's going to happen. And so the only answer that is going to work is the awakening of consciousness, the blossoming of human consciousness into the sense of the true self. And truthfully, that only happens when we run out of moves. And if you look around, we've run out of moves. Right? Wars and rumors of wars, the increased threat of nuclear holocaust. Right? And if it's not that, it's going to be climate holocaust. It's going to be economic war. We are facing on every front. There is no place to run. This is the experience we had as children, where we couldn't fight mom and dad, nor could we flee from them. Humanity as a whole is in the place of the deepest existential trauma. But this time what's going to happen is that shell is going to break open. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how dark it's going to get before it does, but it is going to happen. I know it's going to happen because we're doing it. We are the first evidence of it. We are the first symptoms of it. I didn't do this to myself. This was that night on the bridge that opened the door, and the subsequent experiences I had up to about 20 years ago, which finally culminated, which is still culminating. I can't even say that. I mean, God, I don't know where it's going to end. I didn't start the process. I didn't say, gee, wouldn't this be great? I was a wreck, and unsolicited, I had a vision of pure innocence. I saw the separation of the self and the conditioning. I didn't even have words for it at the time. I didn't seek it. Something hit me. There was just enough of an open door in me that it could come in. So we're not doing this. we become a catalyst to it as we surrender to it, as we allow it to move in our lives. We amplify it in the world. But we're not the creator of it. We're not the cause of it, which means we can't stop it. And it is just inevitable that the nature of this hypocrisy and manipulation, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, reveal themselves. And that's what we're seeing. And it's not Putin. It's not Biden. It's not Boris Johnson. It's not all these guys, as ridiculous and as buffoonish as they actually are, and as dangerous and as much damage as they do. They're not it. They're the symptom. Look to the cause. If you look to the cause, you can see that to eradicate the cause from the world, you only have to eradicate it from here. This is what the Bodhisattva vow to save all beings from suffering means. I'm saving all beings by being all beings. I am taking it on myself. Christ put it, taking on the sins of the world, right? I am eradicating this from me. And as a result, it is being eradicated from the world. Because what is the world consciousness except the sum total of us all? Right? It's not a thing out there. It's us. So we move from the I to the we. As I begin to drop this ridiculous idea of manifestation of I can have it all to we can have it all. Where the I becomes a we again. Where my happiness is everyone's happiness, and their suffering is my suffering. In that sense of complete surrender, we will put an end to this. You will be the end of it. And we do not need political power, economic power to make that happen. We will dispel the greed from within ourselves. And as a result, we are dispelling it from the world. And that's the only way it can be done. So hopefully that's an answer to both Rosario and Lisa, who piggybacked on that. Giannis, are there different types, levels of awakening? And hello to you, Roberto, my brother. Are there different level types of awakening? Ultimately, no, but that is not our common experience, right? There are a lot of spiritual non-dual teachers who take that absolute position. Nope, there's nothing other than that. And all that does is, which is true, awakening is all there is. Awakening is what wakes up. The guy in the dream doesn't wake up. Right? The illusion that you are the guy in the dream that disappears with the dream, that one that thought they were the one in the dream, that's the one that wakes up. And that one that wakes up is the awakening itself. And we see that the awakening isn't a moment that happens. It is a timeless theme that is happening and unfolding and manifesting itself all the time. This is hard for people to distinguish. Now, to just say that, that's all there, to leave it at that, leaves most people confused because there hasn't been enough proper preparation, especially in the West, to be able to contextualize a statement that is that absolute. So I take a step back and say, yes, there are different levels of awakening. The moment somebody recognizes that there's the possibility that they can actually make a change to their own life, they can improve their own life, that's an awakening. For many people, they don't think that's even possible. When I was a kid, and DNA was discovered and talked about and that sort of thing. But when I was a kid, DNA was taught as if that's it. This is the hand you're dealt. There is no other way. There's nothing you can do about it. Have a nice day. Okay? The whole idea of neuroplasticity, the fact that genes turn on and off, that you're not stuck anywhere, that there's this dynamic between the body and the environment that can be taken and mastered at any time in life was unknown till the late 90s. Right? So this is like, whoa, wait a minute. So that's an awakening, right? And when I say it's an awakening, anything that is moving us away from identification with the conditioning as ourself towards greater and greater freedom, even though along the path that we may define the freedom just as a better life, right, or being more functional, the ultimate freedom is freedom from identification with form completely. That's what one would refer to as the ultimate awakening or enlightenment. But for everybody, that appears as a progressive path. The progressive path doesn't disappear until it's completed itself, and you realize that even the progressive path of awakening was part of the dream, and that you have never actually been asleep. But I can't just say that. That's a great, wonderful discovery. It's a horrible teaching because it's impossible to grasp until the proper preparation has been laid. And so I'm answering this in the broadest way that I possibly can for you, to show that the ultimate non-dual teaching, I point at, but I can't really teach it, because I have to prepare the ground first. Remember, this kind of teaching, you apprenticed to a guru or a swami or a sage for 12 years before you even heard this stuff. I have to talk about it now because it's ubiquitous. It's all over YouTube, right? And so everybody and his brother now is a coach or is a guru, is talking about non-duality and, being woke, right? And most of it is quite infantile, and some of it's downright dangerous, because it's cluttering up the works. So the answer is, from our everyday common experience, it is progressive. Right? It is very rare when somebody has that experience, that that huge liberating glimpse, and all the conditioning falls away once and for all. Even Steve Jourdain and Ramana Maharshi, which are the only two I know of that would even qualify for something close, there were hours long struggle they were going on, and God knows what kind of preparation was before that, what kind of past lives and all that. Buddha said that he was an apprentice, he was a devotee of Buddha's as a bodhisattva for 500 lifetimes, right? Which meant he was trying to point. So the whole Hollywood version, which is more of the manifestation law of attraction thing, the instantaneous thing, hold the thought and it's going to happen, is nonsense. Put it out of your mind. That's a cappuccino awakening, right? This is earthy. It's visceral. It is a glimpse that dives into the entire human mechanism and dispels the darkness from all of it, until there's absolutely nothing left but the pure self. And we can refer to just countless awakenings along the way. And it is only finally at what appears to be the culmination of a process that even the process disappears. And we find ourselves on the other shore, only to turn around and find that we're on the shore we left from. So, as always, the answer is yes and no. All I can say is don't try to jump to the absolute. And so I am more than comfortable in speaking in terms of a progressive path. So are Buddhists, even Zen Buddhists, which is the sudden enlightenment school. I mean, months of koan training and silent sitting, right? And a formal process of Zen. So what I don't want to do is give anybody the impression that there's like these clearly defined levels. It's like Scientology. Okay, I'm now level 20 clear, right? Costing you thousands of dollars at every step. What a racket. I should do that, right? Yeah, there's 28 steps. They're each going to cost you $1,000. Yeah, sign here. It's completely individualized, right? Some things will be a sticking point. You'll sit there be there for years. Others, you'll just glide through them, just one thing after another, falling away. And it's completely individual. So there's no predefined levels, no formalization. And if anybody tries to sell you something like that, just say, no thanks, because it's not real. Because there isn't one size fits all. It's a very intimate, individual way in which you come closer and closer to yourself. And every step closer you could refer to as an awakening, as a level of awakening. And you can call them levels because when something really wakes up, when you see that something is true, you can't unsee it. And the seeing of it automatically begins to dissolve all of the conditioned patterns and habits of thought and life that have grown out of believing it was true. And the practice, of course, is that when you see that it's true, a lot of times the reflex, the habit energy that was acting out, you see that it isn't true and see what is true, that the habit energy that was acting out and manifesting what you believe to be true can still have some momentum to it, can still seem to have some power to it. In which case that becomes the practice of staying true to what you're seeing, and little by little the nervous system begins to conform, reorganize itself around your higher vision. And you can call that at that point, as it's reorganizing, and when it's reorganizing, from that point on, that's conquered ground. You'd never have to go back. So you could legitimately call that a level of attainment, right? Although ultimately, even the idea of attainment disappears. Hopefully that answers it for you. Eunice, did I say that correct? Background, I think you might be new too. We so appreciate volunteers, and your skill and passion means so much. There's Lisa, my networker. She's the chief executive of cheerleading. I love having you as my dad, G. So great. So great. Alessandra, I noticed that it irritates me to hear some friends. You create your own reality. I notice it irritates me to hear from my friends. You create your own reality. What's the difference versus my experience? Well, the whole you create your own reality, like everything else in our Western culture. We grab it, we project stuff on it. The ego loves it. It's a it becomes it becomes something that's potentially liberating for you, and it becomes yet another way we beat ourselves up. People say, well, you attracted that into your life. I mean, God, thank you for the empathy. Thank you, thank you for the for the kind words. It's all your fault. I mean, it's original sin in the back door, right? That's the way it's said most of the time. It's not that it's untrue, but first off, I always like to point out, you don't create reality. Reality is what is real. It's what is true. It can't be created, nor can it be destroyed. You can see it. It's 2 + 2 = 4. Nobody created that, right? And you can't change it. Right? It just is. But what we do create is our experience of things. And that experience is the sum total of what we experience as reality. And that is created by our beliefs, by our conditioning, by our programming, by our perception, by our attachments. And so as we learn more and more about who we are, we come more and more into the sense of who we really are. The perceptions get cleared. The false beliefs fall away. The conditioning begins to dissolve. And as a result, the experience we have now reflects our true nature, which we find to be harmonious, compassionate, abundant, free, loving, kind. Not because you're becoming a free, loving, abundant, compassionate person, but because that is your actual nature. And that now begins to be made manifest. And now the manifest world as experience reflects the inner world that we find to be that is the actual reality. You are the reality. So when people use that phrase, they think they're talking about this because they believe that what you experience out here in the real world is reality. And you're going to create that world reality by holding the right thought and attracting this out of the universe. This isn't reality. It's perception. Reality isn't out there. There is no objective reality. It is all perception. Reality is here. Reality is not what is being seen out there. Reality is the one seeing. That's the ultimate discovery. And that you find that then it is reality that is perceiving experience. It's reality seeing itself made manifest. It is reality knowing itself. It is knowingness knowing itself. We then experience that in manifest form, and we recognize that the manifest form is not reality, but only the appearance of it. Like the song is the appearance of music. The reality of music is here. The song is out there, right? The song is, we're all singing it together. Reality is just what is, the ultimate theme, the ultimate beingness. The infinite motif that manifests itself as everything in the universe, in a constant dance, constant kaleidoscope. So, oh, thank you, Alessandra. Hopefully that brings you peace. Greetings, fellow Earthlings, Earthbirth. Sending peace, love, and harmony to all. Thanks, GP, for your service. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, fellow Earthlings. Jay, that's the best definition of worship, seeing you in them. I should hang up one right in front of me when I rise from bed. It's like chanting a mantra when you wake in the morning. Bring your attention back to your true being. Yes. Yeah, put your favorite guru up on the wall and just look into their eyes. Right? And you realize that it's you. Right? They are reflecting you back to you. That's what the true guru is simply reflecting you back to you. You think it's somebody there. We think the sage is somebody who has wisdom. But the sage is simply wisdom appearing in human form. Just long enough for you to get it, and then it disappears. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When they're really ready, the student disappears. Or the teacher disappears. Lisa, so many great stories she shared. Discernment needs maturity. Yes. Yep. Everyone donate to G tonight so he knows his donate button works. My promoters. That's very fun. Oh, here we go. Every week now I get joined by the webcam chat hot girls. Okay, block user. Bye-bye. That's so funny. What do you think of Neville Goddard's teaching, Imagination Creates Reality? I know of Neville Goddard, and I used to think that way. You know, he was back in the 70s, which was really kind of the beginning of a lot of all of this stuff. I mean, the New Thought movement had been around since the turn of the century, which is what this is based on, that metaphysical approach. In the 70s, A Course in Miracles was published for the first time. I had my spiritual experience 5 years before that, but I became aware of all that. Neville Goddard, Neville Goddard kind of teaching. Joel Goldstein was another one that was that same kind of ilk, and there's truth to it, but and I took that on for a long time and really probed its depths until I outgrew it when I discovered genuine non-duality and the true nature of the self, because it is all still based on the egoic mind. And I don't mean it in the most negative sense. I mean just simply the sense of being a separate self that manifests a reality, right? There is no separate self, right? That's the illusion. You are the reality. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm discounting it, I'm diminishing it, I'm saying it's bad or anything like that. It's helped a lot of people. It's progressive. You know, I'm critical of the way the law of attraction and all of that has been taught, because that's the same thing. Came out later with Abraham Hicks and got a different name. It's very, very, very similar, different style, but basically substance the same. I'm not critical of it, because somebody who's a total victim getting the idea that, oh my goodness, I can change my thinking and have a different experience, that's liberating. That's an awakening of sorts. It's just not the ultimate awakening. Okay? Turn up the heat here, it's still cold. It's not the ultimate awakening. The ultimate awakening is when we see through the illusion of a separate self. And all of the metaphysics, and I went through those, Christian Science, unity, science of mind, some of the Course in Miracles, some other, more peripheral metaphysical stuff, Joel Goldstein, Neville Goddard, and the like, and until I realized they all had at that, on a subtle level, the sense of a separate self, and that the individual human imagination, right? And I realized that it's not personal. It isn't isn't my imagination. It is the universe imagination. There is no me. There is no self here. There is no ego, right? That I am not separate from that which I seek, right? So I am that. which I seek. And that's the unity of it all. And that's manifestation from a completely different level. It's a manifestation. The universe is simply manifesting. That's all it does. I personally don't do anything. And so everything is now a manifestation. But the reality is not the external experience. The reality is you. You are. Really, what else do you know that is real but you? Just ponder it for a moment. You could be having a complete hallucination right now. You could be in an insane asylum somewhere staring at a wall, imagining all this happening. You could be asleep. You could be a being on another planet dreaming that they're a person on Earth right now. That could be the entire experience. None of this would be reality. But something is real, isn't it? Even if all of this is a total hallucination, something is having the hallucination. Step back into that place and become so interested in that which is witnessing all of this, because you know that's real. That can't be an illusion, because something has to be there to have an illusion. So what's the ultimate reality? You are. Go there, abide there, stay there. All of this will become clear. Hello, Lisa. Another Lisa. Let's see. Thank you, GP, for being so clear and explaining what's going on in the world, for being the voice of wisdom. I couldn't agree more. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. I believe with that answer, some suffering is ended. Everybody, thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Oh, look at this. Timing is just right. Jonas, thank you for answering my questions. Much love. My name is pronounced as AKA Jonas. Jonas. Jonas in the Bible. Jonas in the Bible. Islamic prophet. Beautiful. Jonas. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, okay. Questions ran out and right around time. Oh, thank you all. Sometimes I just like to sit and take you all in. My grandfatherliness, I guess. Used to be father of everyone. Now I'm like grandpa of everyone. How did that happen? How did that happen? I mean, just yesterday I was like in geometry my sophomore year in high school, looking at girls all the time. Oh well, thank you all. I love you so much. Love you, love you, love you. Till next time. Namaste.